Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Which team isn't what their record shows right now? On the good end, Buffalo or Ottawa, or on the bad end, Anaheim or Vancouver? And he feels they're all what they are. But I still think U.S. Thanksgiving's the cutoff of you. That you know what you have with your team. You know what I mean? Are there any teams masquerading if not themselves right now?
No, I don't think so.
You agree with Shocks?
I think, yeah. Like Vancouver, being disappointed they lost to Buffalo. Buffalo was a good team. They came in here and gave Calgary a real hard time. Carolina, same thing. Carolina and Buffalo play just like Calgary does. They give you no time. You think they've got too many men on the ice all the time because they're always around the puck. And you have no room, no time and space, and they have skill. So that's and that's lacking from Vancouver's team. That's lacking from Anaheim's team. It's the direction. That's modern hockey. If you didn't watch Colorado and Calgary last year, modern hockey, how teams are supposed to play, you're missing the beat.
What's modern hockey in a minute or less?
Give the other team no time and space anywhere on the ice. Contest all passes, all pucks. Don't allow people to carry the puck for very long or to get organized to make the plays they want to make.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
In Toronto, from what I can gather, it's Austin Matthews finally scored. Yeah, but you lost. We don't care. Austin scored. Now you understand what Daryl Sutter was talking about here in Calgary the other day, where he said the old Flames, all they cared about was individual accomplishments. We're about team. Look at the Leafs. They're playing down to their competition. Who the hell says the Leafs are above anybody? What is wrong with you, Toronto?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show, and good afternoon to our Eastern viewers live on Game Plus TV out of Toronto, Canada, and on the radio, WQEE Metro Atlanta. We are live from the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino in Calgary, the entertainment destination of all of Western Canada. Happy Halloween, everybody. This is not my costume. Maybe our guests will be in get-ups today. Coming up, the Hall of Fame voice of the Calgary Flames, Peter Maher, will be with us through hour 1 and 2. And Matthew Barnaby, famed NHL Super Pest, on his way to being a best-selling author. Matthew Barnaby is going to be with us. But before we move any further and jump into the Quick Six Show topics, let's go to the NHL Bermuda Triangle, the sweatpants capital. Our co-host Darren Moose Dupont is with us. Hey! Look at this guy. Danger zone, man. Are you going trick-or-treating tonight?
I might have to. I got a couple nieces and nephews that are going to stop over later, so I got to be ready.
Tell me about the outfit, dude. For those on the radio, he's dressed as Top Gun's Maverick. Tom Cruise. Tell me about the outfit.
I was going to go as Rip Wheeler, right? With the beard, the brand. But then I shaved, and I thought, okay, I got to go as Tom Cruise now. So I picked up the bomber jacket, and you can see the beautiful patches. We drew all these. This one's coming off here. I didn't want to wreck the jacket, so I did the Scotch tape thing instead of sewing these on. So
they're all coming off. Hopefully, yeah, I love it. Do you have the motorcycle parked out front? Please tell me you do.
Oh, of course. Got the jeans on, too, and we're ready to roll. This is bad.
I'm sure you do. It's all good, man. Kudos to you. It came up in our Facebook memories, and somebody wrote or tweeted us a photo of me in that mask that I wore a few years ago. Remember that one that I picked up at the Halloween store? So, but nothing today because we're going to get serious and talk sports. Boys, can you hit the quick six show horn? And let's get going. We're going to have a lot of We're going to have a lot of NHL talk, obviously, with our two guests coming up, Peter Maher and Matthew Barnaby. We're going to open with NHL, then get into football from the weekend. Trevor Zegras scored 2 goals Sunday, but the one at 2 minutes and 15 seconds of overtime will be the one most remembered as the Anaheim Ducks snapped the 7-game slide with a 4-3 victory over the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's the one game I really need to get your opinion on and the viewers. And Jack Eichel's goal with 7 seconds to go in overtime lifted the Vegas Golden Knights to a 2-1 win over the visiting Winnipeg Jets. I couldn't get that game on television, as you know, out here in Calgary. You're lucky to be in the NHL's Bermuda Triangle, where you get all the games, Jets, Flames, and Oilers for free. I couldn't watch the Jets game. I wanted to, but this Leafs team, please tell me, out in Toronto, you and the Game Plus guys running the control room, how hot is it, man? Because they've lost, 4 in a row now and went winless in California. Nobody does that, just so you know.
Not anymore. They don't. It's not Death Valley, right? Excuse me. Things are hot. Things are hot right now. And, we're hearing it even on the networks. You heard Dave Poulin and O-Dog talking about, the benching of Mitch Marner. Sheldon Keefe benched him for a shift. I don't know if that's really going to send a message. And I agree with Dave Poulin, who said that doesn't send a message. You got to bench him for 7-8 minutes the rest of regulation and see where it goes and try and send a message. But, Sheldon Keefe right now is on the hot seat. They're talking about his job security. And it's so early into the season to be having these conversations. So the fact that they're coming up right now is a real indicator as to the temperature right now in Toronto and around the Maple Leafs organization. It's not good.
I'm not going to get too caught up in this. Let's remember it was mid to late February last year, the Jim Matheson, Leon Draisaitl exchange in the news conference. Leon, why are you so pissy? Remember that? That was like rock bottom for the Oilers. February, dude. And they ended up in the top 4. So I'm not saying Keefe won't be fired or anybody else there, but I'm not, man, they're not even, are they at 10 games now? They're right at 10 games. So anyways, we're going to move on. I appreciate the comments. We got a lot to get to today. Hang on. We'll get to your comments in a moment, but this is me and Moose time right now. Me and Mavericks time right now. Want to welcome a brand new sponsor today, New York Fries. They're a proud member of the Calgary community, and to give back, they're hosting free public skating opportunities at ice rinks around Calgary, open to families and the general public in support of Kids Sport Calgary. Visit FamilySkateYYC.com for a full list of times and locations, presented by New York Fries. And our NHL coverage is for Bronco Plumbing, Heating as well. Find out everything you need to know about Bronco at BroncoPlumbing.com and our Facebook and Instagram pages. NFL, I'm going to be pretty brief on this too. Stephon Diggs ran his mouth Sunday night before running past Green Bay's secondary as he led the Buffalo Bills to a 27-17 NFL win over the Packers, who are off to their worst start through 8 games in the Aaron Rodgers era. The Bills never trailed in the game. They're now 6-1. The Pack is 3-5. And I'm not just throwing this in because of our listeners in Atlanta. But what about those Falcons? Kicker Young-Ho Koo booted a 41-yard field goal in overtime as the Carolina Panthers missed a pair of kicks that could have won the game. That gave the Falcons an improbable 37-34 NFL victory, and they now lead the NFC South at 4-4. So the Falcons themselves went into the season saying, we're going to take it on the chin this year. Now they're leading the division. They're 4-4. I would think, and Arthur Smith from the Titans days, their head coach, it's like, we've gotten this far. We might as well win it all. What a story going on with the Atlanta Falcons.
It's unbelievable. And, Marcus Mariota, he's not being asked to do too much, but when he is, he's delivering. They gave up some big plays in that football game, but this is a great story in the NFL, man. And, I'm swept up in it too. Because of Smith, because of Mariota, but because it's an underdog story. So I think a lot of people are happy in Atlanta.
Your Titans won. The ship is righted there.
Yep. 4 straight games against Houston that Derrick Henry's gone over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. He just has a hate. If we could play the Texans every day, I would love it. But unfortunately, that's not the case.
As the week moves along, we'll have a lot more NFL talk as we move into Week 9. I'm wondering if Tua Tagovailoa shouldn't be given consideration as the MVP this season. People are going to say, Josh Smith, there's a lot of great performances, but the Dolphins just win with Tua and lose without him. By the way, we're brought to you in part by Edo Japan. Delicious Japanese-inspired meals and snacks made to order with high-quality ingredients. CFL Week 21 concluded. The regular season concluded. Here's what happened. Winnipeg beat BC 24-9 the other night. Nathan Rourke played about a quarter for the Lions and then was taken out because he was getting hit too much. Montreal finished with a 38-33 win at Toronto. Hamilton beat Ottawa 23-16, and Calgary dumped Saskatchewan 36-10. By the way, if Peter Maher shows up here before the next break, he'll come on next segment. If he's not, Moose will continue with me. But, the games were meaningless. The point spreads are out, Darren, already for the semifinals this weekend. Do you want to hear them in the CFL?
Yeah, let's do it.
Montreal home to Hamilton. I think the Owls will roll by double digits. Montreal's favored by 1.5 points only. This is the opening line. And then Calgary is at BC Sunday. The Stamps favored on the road by 1.5. Ed Bet Regal. Deal or no deal?
Ooh. I'll take the deal. I do think Hamilton, though, will beat Montreal, but I think the spread is what it is because Rourke's been away for so long. And I don't know that the odds would say that he's just going to come in and pick up where he left off. It's going to take some time. And Calgary's rolling right now. They had a chance to slap around Saskatchewan in the last 2 weeks and just get everything right. So it'll be fun. 2 great games on the docket.
Talked to a football guy last night, one of my closest friends. He thinks Hamilton's going to go into Montreal and motorboat them. Hamilton's going to kill Montreal. They've won 4 in a row on their way into the playoffs, the Tiger Cats. And he also tells me that there may not be any changes in Riderville with the Rough Riders because they can't afford to pay out contracts, despite the fact they made $3.9 million last season, they say. Support for the RP show is brought to you in part by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. I want to take a second and thank everybody who's ordered it and taken advantage of our special promo code and exclusive offer, 20% off and free shipping with the promo code RP show. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with the Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. It's got the weed whacker, it's got the razor with the headlight on it. It comes with lotions, comes with a t-shirt, and I think underwear too. What could be better? Manscaped.com. The promo code is RP Show. Get 20% off. To the World Series, it's set to return to Philadelphia tonight for the first time since 2009 when the Phillies host the Houston Astros in Game 3. The team split the first 2 games in Houston. The entertaining Philly fanatic mascot and the Philly fans figure to make it a fun time at Citizens Bank Park on Halloween night. I was a little dismayed, and you had a busier weekend. You were on the road. You were calling football. I wasn't doing a whole lot. So I watched Game 1, thriller into the 10th inning. Didn't watch as much of Game 2, but I enjoy it. But you did you correctly? Did I hear you right when you said you didn't know that it was on?
I forgot that the World Series was on, and I just got swept up in so much stuff over the weekend. I remember I watched a bit of Game 1. And then since Game 1, it's just in my circles, on my phone, my TV. I haven't heard anything about the World Series since Game 1. But maybe I'll get back into it here for Game 3 as the series shifts back to Philly because I am pulling for the Philly.
Well, number 1, and we're getting to them, WQEE, the key in Atlanta, is watching and listening. Rhino Radio. He says RP and Maverick. They're digging your Halloween outfit all the way down there in the Big Peach, Atlanta, Georgia, where we're loved so much. The RP show. I can't wait to get down there. This brings about the poll question today. And guys that are back in the control room flying the Millennium Falcon in the sweatpants capital, you need to change the vote because the question is this: what will you be watching tonight? And it's not these guys' fault. They were given a bum steer, as we say. It's 4 options. What are you going to be watching tonight? NHL, NFL, Monday Night Football, Cincinnati at Cleveland, World Series, or the NBA, which is a point that I'm getting to right now. What are you going to be watching? And I'll tell you why you should be watching the NBA in a second. But it's 4 options: NHL, NFL, MLB, NBA. And you can only pick one. Don't be that person and say all of them. I mean, if you want to say Netflix, you can, like our guy Gino DePaoli, the voice of the Tigers, who wrote in. But what are you going to pick? You got to pick one. What is it? 0.5 For the Canadian sports fans and soccer fans, a first-hand goal from Alessandro Hojapour and a second-half insurance marker from David Chouanier lifted the Hamilton Forge FC to a 2-0 win over Atletico Ottawa Sunday in the Canadian Premier League Championship. I wanted to throw that in there. And then point 6, our final one, Moose. I'm in a glass cage of emotion tonight because it's my Atlanta Hawks, hashtag true to Atlanta, at the Toronto Raptors tonight. Like if it was a night where that was the only game, that's a slam dunk, pardon the pun, that I'm watching the Raptors and the Hawks. It's my two teams, man. What do you do when your two teams are playing? It's like the Dickinson's parents watching their boys. Or the Twins that were playing on the Phillies and Padres series. How do you pick?
You can't. You can't. All you can do is hope everybody plays well. And, ideally in that situation, you want to see a shootout. 120 to 118. Something like that, where everybody's making everything and it's just fun and entertaining. And I don't know, maybe you use it as a rubber match for you. Whichever team wins tonight will be the one that you actually pull for if they ever meet head to head.
Good. Well, what I found is you need to get into the game, watching it, and then judge by your own emotions how you feel with how the game's going. Yeah. And I feel it's the Atlanta Hawks, who, by the way, are coming off a 123-115 loss at Milwaukee on Saturday night, and they are 4-2, fourth in the East. The Raps are 3-3, seventh place. This is a big game tonight between two playoff teams. This could be like the marquee game of the night. Yet, we've gone through our 6 topics here, and is Peter here? Now, you might be sticking with me next segment, Moose, and in that case, we will go through all these topics and get the viewers. Thanks, guys, for updating the poll. Get the viewer comments on this. My cousin Christine in Medicine Hat watching, and she says, the Raptors will rule. Todd Pinkney says, the NBA? I love the choice. I love the choice, Moose. I love it all.
Yeah. Yeah, you got,
how about your weekend?
Options. Tell me about I'll probably watch Monday night.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll probably watch Monday Night Football tonight. But sorry, you were going to ask, was it the call?
Yeah, you called Huskies Dinos.
That's right. And it was fun. It was a good end of the year. We're both big Mason Nias fans over here, obviously. He leads the country in passing, and he set a school record for passing yards in a season this year, and did it in fine fashion. I mean, he threw for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns in a little under 3 quarters of play. So he did pretty well. The Huskies finished first, and the Dinos are in a rebuild mode in Calgary. We're big fans of theirs over there. They're in a rebuild. They'll miss the playoffs, but getting set for university playoffs all across the country next week.
Fastest 20 minutes in sports is the warm-up, and I will warn you. And there he is. There's Pete. He's ready to go. Door's right there, Peter. Thank you. Moose, I'll see you a little later on in hour 2, probably the second segment in hour 2, okay?
Sounds good.
The Hall of Famer Peter Maher in next here at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. You are watching on Game Plus TV, listening on WQEE and your favorite podcast platform, and 24-hour sports radio streaming now at rodpedersen.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
People donate blood for moments like this. But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of time. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Entertainment destination, the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Check out our website, greyeagleresortandcasino.ca, for upcoming shows this fall and winter. And I tell you what, a lot of people were happy to see this guy coming in. We've got the Hall of Famer, Peter Maher, the Hall of Fame voice of the Calgary Flames. We're going to talk a lot of NHL with Pete and whatever else you would like to talk about. The viewers and listeners, we are on the air. I should tell you, Pete, we were just updating what's been going on since the last time we talked, and we're on the air in Atlanta, WQEE 99.1 FM. The Key. You must have spent some time as the voice of the Flames in Atlanta somewhere along the line.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. Actually, I spent more time in Atlanta when I was the voice of the Maple Leafs. From 77 to 80, yeah, when the Flames were in Atlanta, and then came to Calgary in 1980. So, yeah, quite familiar with Atlanta.
Well, they tell us they love the hockey talk on the RP show, and you came to the right place today. That's what the viewers are here for, and I appreciate you, Pete, coming down. Now, I don't know. This is where I want to start. You're from Campbellton, New Brunswick?
That's right, yep.
You grew up a Leaf fan?
I grew up a Leaf fan, that's right. Yep.
Okay, can we just start there? Because this show, Game Plus Television's anchored out of Toronto, and you saw what the weekend the Leafs had.
Ooh.
What's going on? What is your learned opinion?
You know, what was it, a week and a half ago or so, when the coach of the Maple Leafs had to basically apologize for some public comments he made about his players, and the response from that to the players to the coach seemed to indicate to me that those players don't have the right kind of pizzazz, the right kind of drive to be successful. And then, you know, I was reading earlier today some comments from Mitch Marner after their game last night, saying, "Oh, we did the same thing last year. Then we got straightened out."
You said it was worse.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. They just don't seem to have the right push and the right drive, and you really have to wonder, you know, if things don't turn around. Now they've got a homestand coming up, so that could get them back in the right direction if they can start winning a bunch of games there. But you just wonder about the character of that team when you hear comments like that, and then you see their lack of performance in the playoffs in recent years. So, and that's with the same core players that they have today out there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, that's why we've got Peter here. We got him. You good for an hour, Pete?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I appreciate it. We're going to get into all of these things with Peter, and then later on, Matthew Barnaby is going to be with us. You remember
Matthew
old
Barnaby?
Yeah, Barney's
yeah.
become a good friend of ours. He's written a book he's got out. He's going to be a best-selling author, so he's a regular on the show, Peter. Okay. And I guess, dumb question, but I'm the king of those. How much are you following the National Hockey League right now? Clearly very closely.
Well, I don't follow it like I used to, obviously, when I was doing play-by-play. But I do follow it quite closely. I mean, I'll watch the games on TV. I mean, it's not a case for me if the game starts at 7 o'clock. I got to be right in front of the TV screen at 7 o'clock. But, I tune in. I see what goes on. I read a lot online and that sort of thing and follow the action as it goes. And, as I say, I'm not on top of things. You can mention a name to me, and I might not know what team he played for, was a newer player and that sort of thing, which in the old days you'd ask me about a player. Well, yeah, I knew where he played, where he was from, and all that sort of thing. But, yeah, I still follow it quite closely. I've been to one game at the Saddle Dome this year, and I'll probably get to a few more a little bit later on as the season goes on. So.
Right. Well, and that's I knew you'd have a good handle on what's going on, and my point is the Leafs have only played 10 games. Like Tim Hunter sat in that chair last week, and actually Perry Shockey too, who you've done some good with.
Perry, yeah.
Shocks was here, and they both feel that whatever we see with teams is what they are. For instance, they feel the Ducks are as bad as their record, and maybe the Canucks, and they feel the Sabres are as good as their record, and whatever teams have started out great. I'm not sure I agree.
I developed a theory, and I don't have the proof here with me because I haven't done that this type down the road for a while. But I have a theory that in the first 15 or 20 games of the regular season, teams that are doing something that you don't expect, either be it good or bad, winning a lot of games, losing a lot of games. To me, the true test is from game 15 to 30. If they're continuing at that pace, be it good, be it bad, then that's what you have. That's the real team that you see. And there's a whole bunch of statistics that I would reel off at one time that would back that up. I mean, there's the odd exception like anything else, but I find that the key games are roughly between 15 to 30 or 20 to 40 in that range. You find out then exactly what kind of team you have, and so the Leafs, given what Marner said, we still got a lot of games left to play to turn things around. So I'll give him credit for that, but I just wonder if they should be showing a little bit more intensity when they're out on the ice.
I like your theory. I'd never heard that before, but if it's true, and there's no reason to think that it isn't, we're just getting to the real key part for some of these teams, right? Now, the other thing, I saw Marner's comments, I saw the video of it, and I saw Austin Matthews last week. Neither of them seems overly concerned.
Yes,
Did you get that sense?
Yes.
Which is a good thing.
It bothers me a bit because you think they should be a little bit more concerned when you're losing games. That's even if you feel you can turn it around, but sometimes you have to have that drive. And when I hear those comments, I'm thinking they don't have that drive, that little extra push when the game is on that can make a difference between winning and losing. And it's not that the fact they've lost those; it's the teams they've lost to. They've lost to a lot of really poor teams.
Right. Yeah, those are the ones you want to put in the bank.
Exactly, yeah.
This time of year.
Yeah.
We got a lot of viewers, Peter, as I told you, around Canada, but also America as well. If you wouldn't mind just telling them your career, if you don't mind.
Wow, my career.
This is just the years, just where you were in the teams.
With the NHL teams?
Yeah.
Well, I worked, I'll start off is that I started broadcasting when I was 15 years old. In my hometown in Campbellton, New Brunswick, there was a softball league there, and it was right near where I lived. So I would go there, and eventually I became the public address announcer.
Did you have this voice then?
Yeah, yes, pretty much, because I'll tell you as I go on with this is that I would do the public address announcer, and then one of the players in the league was the radio station manager, CKNB, and Doug Young was his name. Later became a politician. Anyway, he came to me one day and said, "Why don't you do reports on our game on the radio?" So I would go, after the game was over, I'd give a report over the phone or go to the radio station and do a report. And so my last year of high school, I was a sports guy on the station. So I'd come in the morning, do the morning run, then go to school, and then come back in the afternoon about 3, 4 o'clock, and then do the afternoon run. And people would meet me on the street, and they would say, "You're Peter Maher." And they, because I'm just a little guy, and they say, "You sound like a guy that's much older and much bigger when we hear him on the radio." So that's where it began, and then eventually it led into play-by-play with the the Campbellton Tigers and the Dalhousie Rangers, which were two teams in the same league, 16 miles apart. But there was only one radio station facilitating that area. So I would do play-by-play for them, which was good because I always felt, and I always tell young aspiring broadcasters, broadcast as many games as you can, even if you're just talking into a recorder, because the more you do it, you learn the kind of the tricks of the game. I remember when I started out, you're trying to call everything. Well, if you start to call everything, you get behind the play. So, but that, you learn how to edit the game as it goes along. So anyway, I broadcast games there, and it was a fortunate time in that the Tigers in particular had a really good team. They won 2 national intermediate AAA championships, and then went to the final another year. So there was lots of games, and the radio station somehow in a small town, which was population then was I guess about 15,000 or something, were able to get sponsors for those games and for me to travel wherever they went. So it went from there, and then in 1977. It was really interesting. On the morning of the Sunday of the Saturday of the long weekend, the Labor Day weekend, there was a small article in the provincial paper, because we didn't have a local paper there, so we get the paper from Moncton and the paper from St. John. So there was an article there about 3 paragraphs long, talking about the radio broadcast rights for the Toronto Maple Leafs changing to a station called CKO, which was the first Canadian all-news radio station. They eventually went out of business, but they outbid Foster Hewitt, who owned CKFH radio station in Toronto, which had the rights forever. And anyway, they outbid them, and it was announced in this very short story. And so there was a name of the guy, David Ruskin, who was the general manager of the station. So on the Tuesday morning after the long weekend, I phoned and talked to him. And he said, send me your resume, send me your tapes. And, of course, it was reel-to-reel you would send in those days as tapes.
I'm old enough. I dealt with that, too. Yeah.
Anyway, so I sent those in, and about 2 weeks later, he said, yeah, you're one of our finalists. So he said, we have 3 of you. We want you here for a game on a Wednesday night, an exhibition game. The exhibition season was just starting. And so we each did 1 period. The game was over, so I went back to Campbellton the next day, and it was about 5 o'clock that afternoon. He called me and he said, "You're our guy, but you got to be here Friday because we're going to do a practice run on Saturday, and then you can go back, but you got to be back here for Wednesday because we're doing our first real game." So it all happened within a week.
Wow.
And so, it was, I go from a town of, 14,000 to Toronto, 14 million or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was good that it happened so quickly because, all I had to do was focus on what I was doing and not hear about all the backlash in the back because, later you'd find out, a lot of people were upset that the Foster Hewitt station didn't have the games, and CKO was an FM station on top of that. And so there was all kinds of stuff going on in the background, but they kept me away from that to focus on what he was doing. So as I found out later, Foster and Harold Ballard, Harold, of course, was the owner of the Maple Leafs at the time, had a fight. They had several of them. And anyway, as I understand it, Foster was getting the rights for about $30,000 a year. And Foster had one of his people go to, Harold had one of his people go to Foster and said, "We've got an offer here from these people at $100,000 a year. If you match it, you can keep the rights." And Foster thought that Harold was playing a little game with him. So
he wasn't.
He wasn't. So he didn't buy in, and CKO signed the 3-year contract. And so I went there and I broadcast the Leafs for 3 years.
Well, I'll tell you, just because I know your resume, you've been so good to me forever. I knew about that Leafs thing, and you're one of many guys here in Calgary, Lanny McDonald another, and Jamie McCown another. I'm sure there are many more that they're like, "Don't talk to me about the Toronto era. I just want to talk about the Flames era." There's a reason, I think, why you're all here and not there.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like Lanny's, not to speak for Lanny, and he's going to be here tomorrow, but he said Harold Ballard signed Lanny's contract in jail. They had to take Harold. Did you hear that story?
I didn't know that one. No.
So can I say that your time with the Flames had to have been a lot better than your time with the Leafs?
Yeah, no question about that.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much going on with the Leafs in that era with Harold and then Punch Imlach coming in, and that was Punch's second turn with the Maple Leafs, and that's when he traded Lanny. Well, he would have an interesting story about that, I'm sure.
Yes, he does, and he likes telling it. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, so that was how that went, and then it was. Those were real interesting years. I mean, I can tell one story with Roger Nielsen. Roger Nielsen was the coach. And Roger, there was a game in Montreal on a Thursday night, and after the game, the Leafs lost, and Harold fired Roger on the plane. We had a charter flight. We were coming back, and he fired him on the plane. So anyway, I get back, and I didn't have a regular color commentator for my broadcast then. So the next day, with the word out that he got fired, my general manager called and said, "Can you get Roger to be the color man for the rest of the season?" So I said, "Well, I'll check." And then, so I phoned him, and he said, "Yeah, I'd be interested in doing that, but I'll have to check with the boss first." But the boss, of course, was Ballard, who was paying him. Even though he had fired him, he still had to pay him. So anyway, he called me back later that Friday night, and he said, "Yeah, I can do it. I'm all set. But there's one thing." He said, "No, he didn't. No." Later in the afternoon, he confirmed it. Then he called me at night at home saying, "There's one thing. There's a chance I may be back coaching tomorrow."
And you wonder why it was a gong show. Yeah, exactly. So we got a lot of questions coming in for Pete. So we will get that. Kevin in Airdrie says, "That voice. I so miss his calls. One of the best." It's not just that. It's Stampede, Toyota, all these... The businesses you read, I hear your voice echoing in my head, you know, or whatever vehicles and stuff. So, Pete, I appreciate you coming down. I knew everybody would love it. When we come back, we will get to your questions, the viewers, about today's NHL, and a few more stories, of course, as well. And as I mentioned, Matthew Barnaby coming up in hour 2. It's the RP Show. We're on Game Plus TV. We are on YouTube Live and on the air in Metro Atlanta, the Key, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop staffed by PGA of Canada professionals is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Golf, Hawaii, and the Four Seasons. Imagine picking up your clubs and feeling like a pro for one whole week in paradise. Well, you can get that chance this December with 5-star accommodations, a 3-day tournament at a championship course, and loads of VIP experiences. The Pro Leisure Golf Tour is going to make you feel like a pro, even if your golf game doesn't. So whether you're looking to grab your golfing buddies for a tropical getaway or just wanting to find an exclusive VIP experience to take part in, the PLGT is perfect for you.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM-certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big, and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download dark horse bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG. Always delivering the best fan experience. Find us at ddgregina.com.
Live at Calgary's entertainment destination, Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, just ahead of more with Peter Maher. A sports update. The Toronto Raptors return to action tonight, playing host to the 4-2 Atlanta Hawks at Scotiabank Arena. I think I'm cheering for the Hawks. The 3-3 Raptors had 2 days off after a rough 112-90 home loss to the 76ers on Friday. It'll be the last of a 3-game homestand before Toronto hits the road for its next 2 contests. We're on the radio in Atlanta. We're on the TV in Toronto. It's a tough call, but I'm going with the Hawks. The World Series is set to return to Philadelphia for the first time since 2009 when the Phillies host the Houston Astros in Game 3. Tonight, the series is tied up 1-1. One possible damper, however, is there's rain in the forecast. Noah Syndergaard goes for the Phillies against Lance McCullers Jr. And the Cincinnati Bengals are set to clash with division foe, the Cleveland Browns, on the road tonight on Monday Night Football. Cincy sits a half game behind the Baltimore Ravens for the top spot in the AFC North. This sports update for Edo Japan. Edo Japan, delicious, delicious Japanese-inspired meals and snacks made to order with high-quality ingredients. Hockey Hall of Famer Peter Maher is with us here at Grey Eagle, and I did mention your career, but I don't think I got the years out of you. Your years as voice of the Flames, if you don't mind.
1981 through to 2014.
Okay, so this year's Flames team, where would you put it in the pantheon?
Oh,
Flames.
boy.
Yeah.
It's so hard because the game has changed so much. And, you know, you think back to the year the Flames won the Cup, which was 1989, and there were, 23 teams in the league or something like that. And now you got 32. I mean, I always thought that team from 88, 89, the Flames Stanley Cup team, probably could beat any of the current teams. But then again, you don't know. I mean, the players are so much faster now, and the conditioning is different than it was back in those days. But like I say, you looked at that Flame team from 89. They had 4 pretty solid lines, pretty solid defense brigade. And, to me, it would be very hard for any of these teams currently in the NHL to beat that team. And, of course, furthermore, the Oilers from their teams that they had in the 80s. So,
looking back, Pete, and I'll get to the viewer comments in a moment. I'm going to try and not be selfish here and hog all Peter's time with my questions. But looking back, Battle of Alberta in the 80s, did you realize at the time, obviously you enjoyed it, but that it would be such a golden time in hockey in the province's history? Did you realize it at the time?
No, you didn't realize that at the time. You didn't know where things were going. But, I mean, that was absolutely incredible, the quality of those two teams. And, one year they played 19 times against each other, including the playoffs. And I remember a few years ago here, Wayne Gretzky was at a game at the Saddle Dome, and he and I were chatting about that, and he says, I don't know how we survived, talking about the players, survived those 19 games, because it was just war out on the ice. I mean, there was slashing and hacking and hooking and holding and spearing and all of that, and of course a whole bunch of fights on top of that. Now, Wayne didn't fight much, but the other guys did, and so we really were going through quite an era of hockey, and didn't really know it, how good these two teams were. For about a 5-6 year period there, the Flames and Oilers were probably the best teams in the NHL. Unfortunately, they had to play each other
in the same division.
And in the playoffs most of the time. Yeah. And one of them had to lose, and most of the time it was the Flames, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, but it was just an absolute tremendous rivalry. And, here was the Oilers here on Saturday night. That was the second time they play the Flames. They play them again here. I think it's on December 27th. Yep. Yeah. And they'll play again until if they meet in the playoffs. So it's too bad that they don't play any more than that. The rivalry is so incredible between these two teams. It's not like it was then, I don't think. But if they had more games, it would build up to somewhat similar to that.
So when you watch a game like Saturday night and the Oilers win it 3-2, what do you think? Like, in terms of who's better or what it's going to take to beat Edmonton? Because
I think they're pretty even. I mean, and I really believe the big difference is McDavid. I mean, he is so, you saw on Saturday night, he just took the game in his hands, and all of a sudden the Flame lead was a deficit. And he was the major manufacturer of the Oilers coming back and pulling that game out. He's so incredible. He's so quick, and he's so great with his hands and the things that he can do. I always say the only thing wrong with him, he plays for Edmonton.
Of course. At Ryan in Toronto watching, he says, I'm very happy this is a double segment. Peter's stories are amazing. Pete's going to stay into hour 2. And I planned it that way, and Pete was gracious enough to do it because I knew there would be a lot of questions. Now, in the 80s, they'd have tried to break McDavid's ankle.
Oh, yes.
So it's probably a good thing that that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
For the game's sake.
Yes, for the game's sake. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Oh, no, he'd have had much. I mean, they target him enough as it is, but he'd be targeted a whole lot more if he was playing in the 80s and the way that they went at guys. I mean, the Flames tried to get at Gretzky, and, they never really could slow him down. And, of course, he was, to me, I've always said that Wayne Gretzky probably is about 5 notches ahead of everybody else with regard to the knowledge of the game and anticipation and all that sort of thing. I mean, he always had himself in the right position. He wasn't the fastest skater. He didn't have the hardest shot, but nobody could knew where his teammates were and how was smart enough to get the puck to them. I mean, he's just incredible how he could read a hockey game. Well,
and that was a heck of a game Saturday night too. Like, there isn't the goonery, which frankly I was a fan of. I like that style of hockey, but I know it's gone for good. Mm-hmm. But it was a physical game Saturday night too.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Just not dirty.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. It was a physical game, but not like you would have seen in the 80s between those two teams. And there'd been a lot more fights, too.
Do you like this version better or that version better?
I like this version better. I mean, you see the skill of the players in a little better fashion. They're not impeded as much as they were back in those days. Although you look back at the numbers these players put up in those days, was pretty incredible considering what they had to go through. But I like this brand of hockey really, really well.
Next segment, I am going to ask Pete about the new Flames Arena because there's a lot of questions coming in about it. But speaking of skill, a very close friend of mine is Stu Grimson. I just did an event with him 2 weekends ago, and you called his games here.
Yep.
You would have called that fight when he knocked out Dave Brown, and he said he came to the bench, and Theo said, worst thing you could have done, Stu, because now you ticked him off.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Do you remember
I remember that. Yep. And and he was also warned, I believe, by Al McNeil.
Not to fight him?
No, to the next time. Because he was told, when you're getting ready, I think Al told him, if I'm not mistaken, Al told him, he said, the next time you play them, when you're lining up for a face-off, watch for them. And sure enough, the next time they lined up for a face-off, Brown had his gloves off long before the drop. Stu completely by surprise,
right?
On that one,
that was the point.
Yeah,
so you woke him up.
Yeah, woke him up. Yeah.
Well,
Theo had the right thing to say. You're right.
What a great guy, Theo. Yeah. You said you golf with him. Did you see Theo much?
I golf. We're both members at the Cottonwood Golf and Country Club here, and
he's doing great.
He's doing great. Outstandingly. Yep.
The one thing, though, and we could talk about fighters forever, and people love it when we do, but Stu Grimson doesn't play in today's NHL. I'm not sure Tim Hunter would either. You know what I mean? Like that, those guys are gone.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Or no?
But that's a very good point because they don't fight. The fighting is a way down now compared to what even was 5 years ago, let alone 25 years ago. So I don't know. Those guys are. I don't know. They were decent. They were decent players. I mean, they obviously weren't top-notch first-line guys, but they weren't out there just to stand around and fight.
Yeah, it's a good point. But Stu, he was a 40-goal scorer in junior. He was a great Pat. But, I mean, I read his bio when I do these banquets. 729 games, 7 goals, 19 points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
when you read those numbers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In an offensive era.
Yeah, an offensive era. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We will be back with more with Peter Maher, and he is going to stick with us into hour 2 for a segment. Matthew Barnaby coming up. And we'll get to your football talk, too, more so in hour 2. But it's not every day that you get a Hall of Famer come down, and that's what we have in the great Peter Maher. We'll be right back. You're watching the RP Show on Game Plus TV, listening on radio on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of time. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming of the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
We're live from that beautiful facility, Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination. You can see we're in the foothills to the Rockies. It's just a wonderful spot. And we're talking hockey today with Peter Maher, the Hockey Hall of Famer. Peter, that never gets old, does it? It can't never get old, I would.
No, it never gets old. Indeed not. Yep.
As mentioned, tons and tons of questions from our viewers. And I'll push a lot of them over into hour 2 because the majority of the questions have come in about the new arena here in Calgary. Mm-hmm. You called for the longest time every Flames game in that old place. I'm sure you love it. But what is your stance on the new arena here?
They definitely need a new arena, and they should have had one 5 years ago at least. And it's unfortunate that they've had so many drawbacks with this. You know, there was one, well, they thought they had a deal totally ready. And if they, as recently as about a year ago at this time, and if that deal had not had some issues that fell apart, then the new mayor, looked for some more money from the Flames, they'd be in the ground now, building the building. Yeah. And unfortunately now they're back trying to work it out. And it was interesting having our premier come in last week and voice the need for the arena, and also mentioned it needed to be as popular or as spectacular as the one in Edmonton, and so on and so forth. So, no, there's no question they need a new building. I mean, I love the broadcast facility where we broadcast from in the Saddle Dome, but the building itself is antiquated. There's just no two ways about it. I mean, it's the second oldest building in the NHL. The only one built older is Madison Square Garden, but they did a $2 billion renovation of that building about 10 years ago. And I remember going in there after they had done that and said, what amazing improvement they made of that Madison Square Garden building. So they definitely need a new building here, and I'm sure it's going to happen. And but they have to get all the people in the proper lanes to get it done so that the people can all be satisfied with how much they're going to spend and that type of thing. So, and hopefully that now that they got the thing back on the track, at least to try and get it settled, they can get something worked out to have the shovel in the ground at least a year from now.
Well, sometimes you and I have spent our lives in sports. I try to look at it from other perspectives, but I walk around downtown Calgary and I see the commercials and the posters for events that are coming, and it's like, this is what makes a city vibrant.
Yep.
Who could argue that you need good facilities? I don't understand the other. I try, Pete.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I'm not only talking about the hockey. To bring your point,
events.
I mean, in Edmonton, they get all of the top events in their building. We don't get them here in Calgary. And Vancouver gets them. Elton John was in Vancouver a week and a half ago for the final show ever in Canada. It didn't come to Calgary. We don't have the facility for it. And so, and that's just one of many, many top entertainers that haven't had performances here because we don't have the building for it. The roof is not strong enough to handle their equipment and all of that type of thing that they come in with these shows. So it's more than just a hockey situation. It's the entertainment value for the whole community.
That's what needs to be pushed. And it doesn't hurt that the Flames are a really good team. If they suck right now, and you've been with the team when it did,
yep.
It doesn't now.
Yep.
Now would be the time.
Yeah.
Right?
The team is good right now. It's right near the top of the standings, and it's probably going to be that way for another year or two, and at least. And that should accelerate the whole situation to get it done. If they were a struggling team, then it unfortunately becomes less of an issue, even though it is still the big issue. You still need the arena. And you wonder how much longer this building, with the roof that it has on it and that type of thing, can withstand things here in Calgary. But it's going to have to be for at least another 4 more years, because when they finally get it done that they're going to build it, it's going to take 3 years to build the building. So they definitely need this, and I've been preaching this for the last 5 years. And, it's unfortunate that it got that setback in December.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting there Saturday night for the Battle of Alberta. It's rocking.
Yeah.
18,000, and they're blasting music, and I'm sitting there going, they wouldn't allow people in if it wasn't safe, obviously, but it is getting old. Ted in Red Deer says, if you look in the dictionary under broadcasting icon, there's a picture of Peter. Awesome to see and hear him, isn't it? And it's going fast. It's going fast, Pete, or at least for me anyways. Last minute of play, by the way, in hour 1. Pete will be with us over into hour 2. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says the cancellation of the last deal may have been a blessing. It was underfunded. Very possible, but I think they're going to get this baton over the finish line, especially since they brought in a third party that's professional in brokering these types of deals. I wish they had done it in the first place, but we are where we are, and everything does happen for a reason. We will see you in hour 2 on the other side. More with Peter Maher, Matthew Barnaby coming up, and we will have some football talk with our regular co-host Darren DuPont on this Halloween edition of the RP Show. Everybody stick around. We will be back with you. And don't forget to vote on our poll. What are you watching tonight? NHL, NFL, MLB, or NBA? Monday Night Football is leading. See you after this break.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
She could be cool.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM-certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big, and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming of the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience. Find us at ddgregina.com.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
In Toronto, from what I can gather, it's Austin Matthews finally scored. Yeah, but you lost. We don't care. Austin scored. Now you understand what Daryl Sutter was talking about here in Calgary the other day, where he said the old Flames, all they cared about was individual accomplishments. We're about team. Look at the Leafs. They're playing down to their competition. Who the hell says the Leafs are above anybody? What is wrong with you, Toronto?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
And things have only gotten worse for the Toronto Maple Leafs coming out of the weekend with losses at LA and Anaheim. And maybe that's where we'll go next with our very special guest on this 872nd episode of the RP Show. Daytime sports talk on Game Plus TV and on the radio, WQEE 99.1 FM, Metro Atlanta. Peter Maher with us, the Hall of Fame voice of the Calgary Flames, where we open talking about the Leafs. We've sprinkled a little talk about the Flames and Oilers in here. Tonight in the NHL, just 3 games. The Detroit Red Wings are at Buffalo, Washington is at Carolina, and the LA Kings are at St. Louis. I've kind of asked most of my questions for Peter, so I will turn it over to the viewers now. Just one more on the arena situation, because it's a big one in Calgary. John, a viewer in Edmonton, says, Peter, do you have a location that you think the city should put the arena on?
Well, they should put it right here in this area.
I know, I agree. I agree.
However, having failed, if that were not the case, building it right in the same vicinity of the Saddle Dome and the Stampede grounds is fine. They have a spot all set up there where they were planning to have it anyway. So I don't think there's any. I mean, obviously, when they're building it and then there's games going to be played at the Saddle Dome and shows and that sort of thing, it's going to be a congestion with regard to travel, but that's all part of paying the price to get the building. But, you know, the spot that they were going to have it, it's still there, so it's still available to have it, which is right adjacent to where the Stampede grounds is right now, in the event center, they call it. Yeah, right. All of that whole all of that whole center that the Stampede board has there that they have for conventions and that sort of thing. So they have the spot right there.
So they want it downtown, and everybody wants their arena downtown. So we will move on. There's your question, John. We got it out of the way. In your mind right now, Pete, granted, and Peter came out with a theory, he mentioned it last time. I don't think it's a new theory, but he just brought it up last hour that games 15 to 30 is what did you call it? That's when you find out what you have.
That's when you get a better read on what your team is, because you start off, whether you're good or bad. I mean, you start off with a whole bunch of wins. If you can carry that on through that second segment that I talk about, then generally it stays that way for the rest of the year. And the same thing if you don't start off well, but then you get your game back in gear in that 15 to 30 game range. Usually that's what the team you have as the season goes on. Obviously, as I said, then there are some exceptions, but I find that a great guideline to find out who the real teams are, and that's coming up now in the next bunch of games here within that stretch.
Yeah, well, Vancouver's off to a bad start, obviously. Anaheim is statistically the worst team in the NHL record-wise, but they beat the Leafs yesterday. But, it's funny you say that. I don't think the 10 games, any judgment should be made. Look at the Flames. Are they not literally just getting to know each other? Like Nazem Kadri it feels like he just got into town, and Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar. That's a lot of new guys.
Actually, I've been surprised how well that Kadri has played.
He's great.
Here's a guy that won the Stanley Cup. You win the Stanley Cup. There's a lot of celebrating that goes on with that. And now he comes to a new team. I thought it would take him a little while to get into the groove, but he's been the best player on the team from what I've been able to see by a pretty good distance. The other side of the coin is you have the number one line that they have out there. You've got Lindholm with two different wingers, Huberdeau and Toffoli. Goodrow and Tkachuk are gone. Those are the guys who were with last year, and all of them had big years. So to me, it's going to take them a little time to gain some traction and be much more effective. Now, they're getting some shots on goal, but they're not scoring much 5-on-5. But I think that'll come with time. I just think it's a matter of those guys getting familiar with each other. But Kadri has been a huge, huge surprise how well he's played in the early going. It was interesting listening the other day to Bill Lindsay, who used to play here with the Flames, and he's one of the color guys for the Panthers, that he was saying, on a show on the NHL Network, was saying the fact that he thinks that Weegar will turn out to be the best defenseman on the Flames. And
he's very close now.
He said he was a late starter, and he said he's really come on here the last couple of years in particular, and he thinks he's only going to get better. So.
And he's a fine young man and a leader too.
Yes,
a great hockey player. But and the thing is, just before I left Florida, which was 2 weeks ago, it was made very clear to me by the Panthers that this was not a hockey trade; it was a money trade. They didn't want to see those guys go. Yeah, and you're seeing now from this side why.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. They had to make it work because they already had the deal done, or the Flames had the deal done with Tkachuk, and so they had to have room underneath the cap. And, they had to give up two players instead of, two good players instead of just one to make the deal happen. So it was a real benefit for the Flames. So what a summer it was here.
I know. Well, I was going to ask you because I'm a hockey guy first. You know that. Everybody thinks I'm a football guy. They're starting to realize that I'm a hockey guy first. That's when I first got in touch with you. I was doing junior games and loving it. And I love Alberta. I went to college here. And in August, I was in Edmonton for the World Juniors for 2 weeks. Up there and here, all they talk about all day, every day, who's better, Flames or Oilers, Oilers or Flames, Flames or Oilers, Oilers and Flames. I thought, can you guys not talk about something else? It's August, and there's no answer to it. We won't know until the spring.
That's right, precisely, and hopefully they'll get to play in the playoffs again. I mean, last year was the first time in 31 years that they played a playoff series, the teams from the Battle of Alberta. So hopefully we see that more frequently as well.
Well, and I don't mind going back, and we are on, we should talk about the Canucks because we are on television in BC as well, but I'll just say this, with the 5-game Oilers round 2 win last year, I didn't see Mike Smith out goaltending Jacob Markstrom going into that series. And he did. Where are you on Jacob Markstrom?
Oh, I think he's an excellent goaltender. And general managers in the NHL think the same thing. But last year, it's the GMs that vote for the Vezina Trophy. And last year, he was number 2 for the Vezina. So that tells me that my thought that he's up near the top in the league, that confirms it when the GMs do the voting, and that's what they came up with. Now, unfortunately, he didn't have a very good series against the Oilers. I mean, they seemed to find a way to find holes in his performance, and that was a big reason why they were able to win that series last year in 5 games. And I'm sure that's why Darryl wanted to put him in the game here on Saturday night. And I don't blame him for the 3-2 loss.
No,
I thought he made a number of great saves, and maybe one he would have wanted to have back, but that's goaltending. So he's, I think he's an outstanding goaltender, and Vladar, the backup, I think they've got a pretty good backup there. You know, it was interesting. Darryl Sutter made the comment a week or so ago, or 2 weeks ago, that he's going to play Vladar once a week. And, and they said we have 26 weeks, and people said, well, he hasn't played now in the last 2 weeks because they haven't had many games.
They'll hold you to what you say, right?
But they're trying to, but the thing is, there's 26 weeks. There's going to be some weeks he's going to play 2 games when the Flames play 4 games as opposed to 2.
So on average,
it'll work out. Yeah. So,
okay.
And I think Darryl realized he's got a pretty good backup there and wants to give him a little bit more work. So that's the strong in nets. They got strong defense, and the forward team is, it's more of a Darryl Sutter type team than last year's was.
Allie in Texarkana's watching. She says, "I knew you were a hockey guy, Rod." Thank you, Allie. I appreciate it. At least somebody knew. Thank you. You were calling Darryl's. You were calling Flames games when Darryl was here the first time.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Is he a different coach now?
Well, I'm not as close to it as I was then, so I can't say for sure. But I've got a pretty good feeling he hasn't changed too much. Maybe a little bit, but I don't think he's changed a whole lot from what I'm seeing and I hear from his news conferences and that sort of thing. You know, what was interesting was in 2004, which was Darryl's first time as coach here of the Flames, when the Flames went to the Stanley Cup Final, lost out to Tampa. It was the evening of Game 5, just before the game. I'm up getting ready to go into the broadcast booth for that game. It was in Tampa, and Scotty Bowman was there. And Scotty, who lives in that area in the wintertime, he was in for the game. And I got to know Scotty a bit because I did some television work with him when I was doing television games in Toronto back in the early 80s. One year there when Scotty didn't have an NHL job, he was doing color on some of the games. So anyway, he comes over and we're chatting, and he says, "Your coach," and he meant the Flames coach, he can read a game better than most coaches in the NHL and make the adjustments real quick. Not many coaches can do that. And he was giving him a real huge bit of praise as to his coaching ability. And I still see that when you watch the games. He still has that, that insight. Now he also pushes the players to get the maximum out of them. And he does get the maximum out of players. I mean, he did it that time, that team in 2004. My goodness, I mean, it wasn't as strong as this team that they have now by any stretch, but he had them playing the type of game he wants them to play, and they knock off 3 first-place teams to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. And
that's why losing to the Oilers in the fashion they did last year was somewhat inexplicable.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You couldn't fit that. He couldn't devise, for whatever reason, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But as Pete said, they may line up again this spring. Now, somebody told me on Saturday, I was walking into the Saddle Dome talking about Battle of Alberta, and somebody said to me, "You think this rivalry's hot?" And it is. But when Vancouver's here, do these fan bases hate each other?
Well, there's a great rivalry with Vancouver. That goes back to a number of playoff series that they've had against each other over the years, and so that is I don't think it's as big as the Battle of Alberta, but it does get the fans here revved up, and the fans revved up in Vancouver as well when the Flames and the Canucks.
And that's what the
together.
guy was saying, that it was literally vicious.
Yeah.
In the parking lot and all of that. And I don't know where I stand on that. I like watching it. I wouldn't want to be part of it. But do you have a take on the Canucks? Have you watched any of their games?
Well, I've watched bits and pieces of their games. I've got a feeling for Bruce Boudreau. I'll explain a little bit of background. I'm from New Brunswick, and Bruce's mother is from New Brunswick. And so Bruce used to come back to New Brunswick in the summer, way back when he was a player. And he would play ball hockey with us. So every time I would see Bruce, he'd say to me, he said, "You're the goalie I scored a hat trick on." He'd have some fun with that, and I'd throw it back. Yeah, but I stopped you on a penalty shot.
Right, of course.
So I like Bruce, and I really felt bad. Like, he came in there last year, did an excellent job to turn their season around, and then didn't get a contract extension. And now he's in there, and the team's got off to such a horrible start. You really wonder about his job security. But, it'll be interesting now. They're showing a little bit better in the last couple of games. So hopefully, on paper, I think they've got a team that should be able to challenge for a playoff spot. Challenge, not saying a guarantee to be in the playoffs, but I think they can challenge for a playoff spot out in the West here. But they've got to get the season righted very quickly.
Well, do you ever sit and wonder how it happened? Like the 90s were a wasteland really for hockey in Canada, NHL hockey, in terms of competitive teams in Canada, right?
Yeah.
And now look what we got.
Yeah.
Flames a contender, Oilers a contender, Leafs a contender, Montreal came out of nowhere. I don't think they're a contender, but they were in the Cup final a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
How did that happen, do you think?
Yeah, well, I guess you have to go through
Good management.
Good management, that's right, exactly. You have to go through stages where things aren't so good, but if you're managing right, you're eventually going to come up and have a good team. So, but yeah, Montreal, with the team they have, they're surprising us how well they have played so far this season. Marty St. Louis has done an excellent job since coming in there last year.
Good for him. I like that.
Yeah.
Seems like a nice guy.
He played here with the Flames.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he got traded away before it got to his prime, and then would come back and have a key role in Tampa winning that playoff series against the Flames in 2004. But yeah, good, top-notch star players generally don't make very good coaches. But Marty has come in and was a top-notch player, solid hockey player, has come in to be a very good coach. And the theory is that the real good players don't have the patience to be a coach at the NHL level, but he's seemingly showing great patience.
I love what he said. I don't need this.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't,
and he doesn't need it.
Yeah,
right. So he's doing it because he loves it, and it's not a job to him. Mandy in Edmonton wants to know what your best memory is as a Flames broadcaster.
The best memory was May 25th, 1989.
Of course, I figured.
that was a Thursday night in Montreal. The Flames and the Canadians battling it out in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final, and the Flames winning it 4-2 to capture the Stanley Cup. That's been the highlight of my career as a broadcaster with the Flames. Now, coming very close to that, since from Edmonton, was 1986. When the Flames and Oilers went to Game 7 in their playoff series, second-round playoff series, and the Flames winning 3-2 in Edmonton in Game 7 to win that series. And incidentally, to this day, that's the only playoff series the Flames have won against the Oilers. But that is very close to the Stanley Cup winning occasion in '89.
Well, there's some real interesting stories that you got to kind of dig at. Like, I think it was either Lanny or Tim Hunter said, you guys winning in the Forum were the only road team to win a Stanley Cup.
That's right. Yep.
That's a pretty cool thing.
That's a big thing there. Yeah, exactly. And the thing I liked about that was that the fans stayed in the building.
That's Montreal.
Usually you beat the team in their building and win the Stanley Cup or something. The fans are bailing out. But that night, most of them, the huge majority of them, stayed in the building and cheered as the Flames skated around the ice with the cup. Some of that I think had to do with Lanny and the popularity he had, and he finally won a Stanley Cup and that sort of thing. But I thought it was really pleasant for the fans of the Canadians to stay and cheer the Flames on after they just beaten out their team.
What an absolute diamond Lanny McDonald is.
Oh, awesome.
As good as he appears, he might be better.
Yes, there's nobody better. I mean, I can remember going back to my days in Toronto when he was playing for the Leafs. The bus, we'd be getting on the bus to go to the airport or go to the arena, wherever, and Lanny'd be outside signing autographs. And all the other players would be on the bus. And he came here with the Flames, the same thing. And he's still doing that. It's absolutely amazing.
And he's going to be doing it here, by the way, at Grey Eagle tomorrow on Tuesday. Lanny will be in that chair. Pete,
you're going to talk to him about the roast they're having for him.
I've got to get a ticket for that. So trust me, I am going to. The big fundraiser, Peter, thank you. Always a pleasure.
A pleasure indeed. All the very best, Rod. Glad to hear things are going well.
Thank you. You got an open invite here, by the way, if you ever want to talk hockey. We'll let you know when we're here.
Okay.
The Hall of Famer, Peter Maher. The football fans, your time is next. The Moose will rejoin us, and we'll talk NFL, CFL, probably some Canada West football, college football in the States. That's all next. And Matthew Barnaby coming up in hour 2 as well. We are live from Grey Eagle. It's the RP Show on Game Plus TV and WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of time. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Big time. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Oh, glad you guys are having a good time. Yeah, buddy. All right, we're back. We're live. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino as Peter Maher makes his way out. And we bring the Moose back in, our co-host, the lovely and talented Darren Moose Dupont. As I promised the viewers that we would talk some football now. And have you taken those shades off in the last hour there, Maverick, or have you left them on for the last hour?
No, they've been off.
Okay, hey, what are you rocking for a coffee out there? What are you rocking for a coffee right now?
I got Theo's special coffee. Yeah, Theo's special coffee. Got the Nespresso rolling. I like the Italian one, so I got some Italian roast. I don't know what it's good.
I got to tell the viewers the reason Darren calls it Theo's special coffee is Darren Fleury had been inviting me to his house for several weeks, and he goes, I got to get you over to have one of my special coffees. Knowing full on that Theo sober 17 years, I'm sober 7.5. It wasn't going to be anything crazy, because you got to have one of my special coffees. So I end up at his house, and it was one of those Nespressos, like you say. And hey, it's special, but it's not that special. I'm like, Theo, what? This is it? This Nespresso coffee? Well, yeah, it's special.
Right.
Okay. And so now in our house in Florida and yours, it's referred to now, any Nespresso coffee is Theo's special coffee. And I think here at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino as well. Ryan O'Radio says Top Gun is back. Ryan O'Radio down there, WQEE, Metro Atlanta. Tell them and the viewers how many times you've watched Top Gun. Darren?
8 times. It's a problem, but and to be fair, to tell you how much I like the movie, I've never seen a movie in theaters more than once. Never. I've never gone back to a movie, but for whatever reason, this one I've gone 8 times, and I think I've gone with like 6 or 7 different people. So I enjoy it.
I went with you at least twice, but can I just say this before we get to the football? Are those patches on your jacket to code? Did you study it, or did you just come up with those patches somewhere and put them on a jacket? Because I wouldn't know the difference.
No. I was looking online, and I was drawing them based on the online thing. The funny thing is, like, the American flag, it's so tedious. I did the 13 stripes, but, like, I'm not doing 50 stars. So I started doing them, and after I did, like, 4, I'm like, this isn't happening. So I just did little circles and just, like, did, like, 6 of them.
From viewer Pinks, Great Balls of Fire. From Devin Pacilo in British Columbia, Dupes is feeling the need for speed. And from BW in Edmonton, he says, NFL, CFL. That's what we're going to get to right now. And he says punter John Ryan has retired after 19 years. Congratulations to the Regina product. You're like over a week old on that, bro, but that's fine. It was after the Edmonton Elks' last game, because they had a bye in week 21, that John Ryan announced his retirement. And I will say this, the CFL fans now, as they come to talk, this is the CFL's number 1 podcast right here. You notice that soon to be Ottawa, but Edmonton and Sask, they don't want to talk about the playoff matchups. Their team's out. And it stands to reason. I would think any market, when your team's done, you want to talk about your own team. I almost wonder if they're even going to be watching the playoff semifinals.
That's the biggest thing I find, the difference between the CFL and the NFL is on NFL Sunday, all fans will sit around and watch all games. In the CFL, I feel like we're more committed to our market, and our market only. We don't really pay attention to the rest of the league as much. So, like, sports bars in Edmonton or in Saskatchewan, people won't be out in groves to watch, the other game would be in the NFL, but they are fans big time of their team. So you're right. They're going to want to talk about what's next for the Elks and the Riders.
By the way, it's not just a CFL fan thing. My friends in Florida that are Panthers fans, they tell me once the Panthers lost out, they're not watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. So that's just the way people are. How the NFL has worked it, whereby tonight, Cincinnati at Cleveland on Monday Night Football will be the highest rated thing on all of television. Forget sports properties. I don't know how they did it, other than tremendous marketing and being everywhere. By the way, the Bengals are favored by 3.5 at Cleveland tonight. Deal or no deal?
Deal. You got a deal. Bengals are figuring it out. And, Burrow is rolling. Jamar Chase, I know he's hurt, but they'll be fine.
Frank Limaker is watching in Airdrie, Alberta. He says, I watched and listened to Moose's call on the Husky Dino game. Job well done. And for those that don't know, those games that are carried on television are carried on all these same cable carriers that carry the RP show. Right? SaskTel
right.
Max, TELUS Optic TV, Bell MTS. So if you want to watch your Canadian University football, this is the place to do it. Call in Ottawa. Just as we said their name, speak their name, they show up. He says, yes, this Red Blacks fan will be watching the semifinals this weekend. It might be Nathan Rourke's last game north of the border. I'm glad, Colin, that you brought that up. And just one more from our guy Kevin in Airdrie says, are you paying attention, CFL? Marketing! The viewers are kind of trying to hijack the show a little bit here. And then they're asking questions, so I got to stay on mine. Football guy called me last night, and I'm not going to say whom. He's in the know. He is I'm not going to say, a very high-profile position. And he said Ottawa may very well be in line for Bo Levi Mitchell. He says, do not run to the bank with Bo Levi Mitchell signing with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, because depending on how these playoffs play out, he could go to Hamilton. Everybody's saying Cody Fajardo's going to Hamilton. He goes, if Cody could go there, why couldn't Bo go there if the deal was right? Makes sense, right, Moose? Mm-hmm. Ottawa. He goes, Masoli's coming off another serious injury. They're probably better off to just cut him and get Bo on a deal. So all of a sudden, and maybe Toronto. Seems like Macbeth always has one foot out the door there. So depends if the Argos get to the Grey Cup and win it or not. But there's Ottawa, Toronto, Hamilton, and then Sask, and then BC is kind of the wild card for quarterback services, because we all expect Nathan Work's going to get let out of his contract to go to the NFL, and VA is the Band-Aid. So I promised I wouldn't get sucked into talking about this quarterback carousel and coach carousel stuff in the CFL. However, viewership is high for it. Now would be the day to do it. Are you hearing much on this carousel in the Canadian Football League?
Yeah, everybody wants to know where Bo's going to go. It's the most juicy storyline through the offseason. And Ottawa does make sense. And if you're the organization, the Red Blacks organization, their ownership, their management, you look at exactly what happened in Calgary. Bo was Hall of Fame. And then you had Jake Maher come in. And I don't know how much Bo was grooming him, but he's underneath him, like learning the game, and then takes over. And you've got an all-star quarterback that has Calgary in contention for a Grey Cup. So you take Bo to Ottawa, have a young quarterback, watch him for a couple of seasons, and you create a nice, 2, 3, 4 year plan where Bo can go out there and roll and show the young kid how to be a pro. And then you've got the succession plan, and you have a little bit of a roadmap for the franchise. So I could see Ottawa being a great fit for Bo.
It's interesting, by the way, with regards... one last note on the CFL. Maybe. We'll see what the viewers want. But the betting lines are out, the opening lines for the week from our exclusive betting partner, BetRegal.ca, which they are also the CFL's official betting partner. And they've got the Montreal Alouettes favored by 1.5 points at home over the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Eastern semifinal, and the Calgary Stampeders favored on the road by 1.5 points in the Western semifinal. Our poll question today for Capital Automall Universal Collision Center is this: what are you going to be watching tonight on the boob tube? NHL, NFL, World Series, or NBA? And you can only vote for one, and you can't be a smart ass and say Netflix, like some have said. You're going to be watching sports, right? 37% Moose are leading the NFL. Monday Night Football. 32% say they'll be watching the World Series. 25% say the NHL. And 6% say the NBA. And my Atlanta Hawks are visiting the Toronto Raptors. And any other night, I'd probably be watching that. You voted for Monday Night Football, correct?
I did, yeah. I'll be watching Monday Night Football. It's just a big event on Monday night. And for me, I reserve my hockey viewing to other nights of the week when there's less going on, and especially Saturday.
Trust me, I get that. And there are 3 games in the NHL tonight. Some biggies. They're all big for the teams involved. Detroit at Buffalo, Washington at Carolina, and the LA Kings at St. Louis. And viewer Andrew, regarding the quarterback carousel, he says, Sask is going to go with Mason Fine, to my chagrin. After I read Rod's article, I feel like the Riders are going down the drain. We shall see. From Colin in Ottawa, if Bo comes east, I would think he'd go to Toronto because everyone Calgary has moved on from goes to Dinwiddie. However, Bo would be welcome here in Ottawa. Who wouldn't want a Hall of Famer? Hey! Auburn firing coach Brian Harrison after a 3-5 start. Thank you, WQEE Rock. The key. Auburn firing their coach. Is he the second NCAA Division I coach fired this year? I would think Scott Frost in Nebraska was the first. Brian Harrison, number 2. You were calling Canadian University football on the weekend. Were you watching any U.S. college football? I assume you were. I caught the tail end of Georgia having their way with Florida in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party in Jacksonville. Go Bulldogs. How much college football did you watch?
I watched a little bit. I watched my boys in Michigan beat up on Luke's Michigan State Spartans on the weekend. And then I was following closely Ohio State, Penn State, all big games in that Big Ten. And I thought Penn State put a scare into Ohio State. I didn't think they looked that good. But in the end, Ohio State pulled it up.
I'm just calling up and seeing if this has hit the news wire or not. Thank you, Ryan O'Radio, for telling us the breaking news that Auburn has fired their head coach, Brian Harrison. Here, the breaking news comes from the National Hockey League. Edmonton center Connor McJesus, New Jersey left winger Jesper Bratt, and Minnesota goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury have been named the NHL's 3 stars of the week. McDavid topped the NHL with 8 points in 4 games to lead Edmonton to a perfect week and into second place in the Pacific Division. I was watching the Flower be interviewed after a game the other day, and I'm like, how can you not love this guy? And yet Vegas is doing okay without him. They're leading the Western Conference, so life goes on, divorces happen. Here we go from Auburn. Indeed, they fired football coach Brian Harrison in his second season with the team on a 4-game skid. Brian Harrison skidded by Auburn. Moose, are you coming back for overtime?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. We got Maverick from Top Gun joining us in the overtime segment. Another very spooky guest, Matthew Barnaby, joining us next to talk some more NHL. You're watching You're watching the RP show on Game Plus TV and on the radio, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
I gotta hit the beat.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Golf, Hawaii, and the Four Seasons. Imagine picking up your clubs and feeling like a pro for one whole week in paradise. Well, you can get that chance this December with 5-star accommodations, a 3-day tournament at a championship course, and loads of VIP experiences. The Pro Leisure Golf Tour is going to make you feel like a pro, even if your golf game doesn't. So whether you're looking to grab your golfing buddies for a tropical getaway or just wanting to find an exclusive VIP experience to take part in, the PLGT is perfect for you.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Text 902 518 3033. 902 518 3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Beautiful day in the foothills. We're at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. You are looking live. By the way, New York Fries is a proud member of the Calgary community. And to give back, they're hosting free public skating opportunities to ice rinks around Calgary, open to families and the general public in support for Kids Sport Calgary. Visit FamilySkateYYC.com for a full list of times and locations. Presented by New York Fries. Welcome to the RP Show, family. We'll get to more comments about the firing of Brian Harsin in Auburn. Next segment, we bring in famed NHL super pest Matthew Barnaby on his way to being a best-selling author, if he's not already. Howdy, Barney. How's your Monday going?
It's great. I'm in Orlando. I don't know about famous, but I'll go infamous for some things. But yes, very good. I'm in Orlando visiting my son at his apartment with his roommates. So just having a great time seeing them and enjoying some beautiful weather down here.
Isn't it beautiful? Oh, I'm seeing that 28 to 30 degrees every day. And I know you're enjoying it, Barney. Listen, before we talk about the hockey, has this been a book tour that you've been on? And if so, it looks like it's been quite the whirlwind.
Actually, not even yet. I was in Houston with Brad May for a charity event for Toys for Kids, which gets kids in Houston the opportunity to receive presents at Christmas time. So we went from there. Then I went to Buffalo just to hang out. And then I was coming back to Ottawa and then flew down to Orlando to see my son and spend a few days with him. So I'm actually here for 9 days, extended a little bit. And then the book tour starts on the 10th of December, all throughout Buffalo, going to a Sabres game, an Amherst game where I played in the American League. So it's going to get crazy really quick. So a nice little relaxing time before it gets nuts, buddy.
Well, good for you. And where can our viewers and listeners pick that book up, by the way, right now? Very smart, putting it out just in time for Christmas, Barney.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works, right? They got these guys that have done these publishers. I'm with Triumph Books. You can go to Amazon, order it there. If you want it personalized, you can go to my website, MatthewBarnaby36.com. Leave me an email there, and then I will fire it back, all the information. And then, obviously, anywhere on the tour that might be, please stop by. It'll be a lot of fun. Going to Quebec City, to where I played junior, Gatineau, where I grew up, and then various arenas and spots throughout Canada, hopefully to hit all of Canada at some point, but obviously starting in the places where I started. So really excited, and thanks for bringing it up, bud.
There you go, folks. I can't wait to get my hands on it. The guy has stories galore, some of which I'm sure will have made the book. Hey, we got to talk about these Sabres. I saw them come through here, and they had their way with the Flames. They beat them 6-3. The Flames had the game in hand for the first 10 minutes, and then they kind of took their foot off the gas, and Buffalo took over. Did you see this start for the Sabres, Barney?
No, I didn't. Listen, I thought they'd be a better team. I thought Ottawa, them, and Detroit, three teams that were like 73, 74, 75 points last year, would all take steps forward this year. Listen, they're a young team. I think we've seen the emergence of Rasmus Dahlin, a guy that has really benefited from the coaching of Granato there. It really allows him to play his game. Listen, he came in and they wanted him to be a shutdown D. This is an offensive D-man, and to start the year off the way he is, 5 goals in 5 straight games, I just think that speaks volume to the coaching. And that's, with youth, you want to have confidence for these guys. Tage Thompson had a great year last year. You look at the young kids, Owen Power coming in, and they have a plethora of young kids that are ready to contribute. It was whether the goaltending could be good enough. You look at their goaltending with Anderson, who's 41 years old. You never know when he's going to take that step back, and it's going to be too late, almost Tom Brady-esque. But this is a young team that believes in themselves. They're playing really hard, and I'm really excited because the fans are buying in, and in a town where the Buffalo Bills are so dominant right now, and taking all the headlines. At least the Sabres are playing good hockey and getting a good reception from those fans in Western New York.
You know, Barney, people are scorning the Arizona Coyotes, and for good reason. And for once, it's not about what's going on the ice. It's about what's going off. It's the rink. It's the dressing room. What are your thoughts on that scenario?
I think it's sad for the players that are involved. Listen, Arizona is an unbelievable place to play. And, I think when you look at just the weather and how you can live your life, but you grow up playing in the National Hockey League, wanting to play in the National Hockey League, and there's an expectation that comes with it. It's 18,000 fans, sold out, going crazy. And I think when you're playing and sharing a rink with an NCAA team, it just takes some of that luster away, that excitement away. So I think it's sad. I think it's sad for the players. I think it would be a pretty cool atmosphere, to tell you the truth, to go to some of those games where, you have a student section and there's 5,000 fans. Listen, I'd rather a sold-out rink with 5,000 fans than 5,000 fans in an 18,000-seat arena. So if you gave me that chance, that's what I will take. But I just think it's almost minor league-ish in the fact that, this is the NHL, the best league in the world with the best players in the world. And I just don't know how financially not being able to listen. I know they struggled attendance-wise, but not being able to, have the revenues to be able to keep up with the Joneses and pay these players that are handsomely paid. It's a very tough look on the NHL.
Randy from Winnipeg says it's a brand new arena and it's only 4 games with a temp dressing room. Yes, Randy, I get it, but it's only 5,000 seats. I mean, let's be honest with you. Yeah. Are we there, guys? Hey, I got to ask you about the Leafs, man. I've asked you many times what your favorite team is, and you say you don't have one because it makes it easier to analyze, and I get that. I respect that, but you got to be watching. How could you ignore the Leafs? Everybody talks about them 24/7. Where are you on this losing streak they're on?
Well, first of all, I do have a favorite team, and that's the one that covers the bet from the night before. So that's my favorite team, and I have a different favorite team. Listen, I wanted Buffalo to win last night, but I bet Green Bay at plus 10.5 points. They cover. So they're the true winners of that game, in my opinion. They covered by half a point. The Toronto Maple Leafs, man, they started off awful last year. They won 2 of their first 7 games, and they went up to put up 115 points. The only thing is we've seen the first round failures year after year, and I don't know if the message is becoming less and less important to those players from Sheldon Keefe. I still think it's a little early to be talking about firing them. I don't make any changes if I'm in any situation till 20 games. Let it sort itself out. You can have a bad start to a year and still rebound. We know that. I don't think this team should be judged, honestly, till the playoffs. And if they lose first round, clear house. Dubas, you're gone. Keefe, you're gone. Everyone else, we're going to bring in new. It's a little early. Having said that, the conundrum in the whole thing, you lose to Montreal. You lose to Arizona. These are bad hockey teams. Really bad hockey teams. Now you blow a lead. You blow a lead to Anaheim. Listen, these are young kids you're playing. You should be rolling through these teams, not playing down to their level. And that's the most concerning part of this whole thing. But I still think it's too early, time to right the ship. But if it doesn't change by the 20-game mark, bye-bye. Get him out of here.
Couldn't agree more. I'm with you on the early thing. It certainly isn't trending well, though. You're right. And, hey, lastly, I don't know if you watched... Yeah, you couldn't have watched any of the Battle of Alberta because it started at 10 Eastern on Saturday night. But I was there. How would you defend Connor McDavid? If you're the Calgary Flames, you're going to meet up with him at some point.
Honestly, there's not one person that can defend him. He's too fast. And what happens with fast players, especially if you're a defenseman, is you want to give him space because you don't want to be on SportsCenter. You don't want to be on the Rod Pedersen show talking about how you got burned to the right, especially if he's going to his backhand. So you give him more space. Now, the more space you give Connor McDavid, well, now he's going to stop up and he's going to create space for himself. That's where he walks to the middle and he makes you look absolutely stupid. You can't take penalties against the Edmonton Oilers. They're too lethal. He's too good. Now he's shooting the puck. He's got 9 goals, leading the league in that department. And if you overplay him, he's got number 29 on the one-time side. On the other side, that just bangs it home. So it has to be a collective unit. You need a great goaltender to step up, and you have to play him as a 5-man unit. You have to play him hard. You have to get in his way. He's the only player I've ever seen that picks up the puck behind his net, and you're like, oh, a scoring chance is coming the other way. So no penalties, collective unit at 5, and bump into him as many times as you can.
The Jets actually did it 2 years ago in the playoffs when they swept the Oilers, but nobody's been able to do it since. And it's funny, we had Peter Maher with us last hour, Hall of Fame voice for the Calgary Flames, Peter Maher. And he's like, in the 80s, they'd have tried to break his ankle. That's where you would come in, Barney. That's what you would do. That would be your job, right?
And I would have done it for sure. I would have taken the 10-game suspension if it meant beating the Edmonton Oilers, because honestly, it's so unbelievable. And every time he steps on the ice, you feel like there's a scoring chance. So he's the best player in the game now. He might go down as one of the best ever to play. I've never seen anything like it.
Barney, keep an eye on Florida for me. Appreciate you. Enjoy your trip, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, buddy. Keep up the awesome work.
Thanks, pal. MatthewBarnaby36.com, as his book is on sale now. Get it in time for Christmas, or search Matthew Barnaby on Amazon. Moose rejoins us for overtime next. We'll put a bow on this with a lot of fun sports talk from Grey Eagle right after this timeout. We're on Game Plus TV, YouTube Live, your favorite podcast platform, and on the radio, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. How about that? Hot damn! Awesome!
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services, and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right. And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM certified pre-owned trucks, and make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big, and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC. making back to busy easy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
It's the final segment, and it is the always popular and fun overtime session for the Four Seasons Sports Palace. They are at 909 Arcola Avenue East in Regina, Sask. Your home for the NHL, NFL, and UFC as we welcome in the Moose. And the scoreboard tonight is a good one. You got 4 leagues, humming Moose, as we mentioned earlier, 3 games in the NHL, no Canadian teams in action. Monday Night Football has the Cincinnati Bengals at Cleveland. Bengals favored by 3.5. Moose has taken the bet at betregal.ca. World Series, Game 3. What's going on back there? It's all tied up 1-1. Game 3 of the World Series. Houston at Philadelphia. They're having a party. It's very spooky in the control room today, clearly.
How about
6
that?
p.m. first pitch, Mountain. Yeah, and in the NBA tonight, it's Atlanta at Toronto. Go Hawks against the Raps. It's a very busy sports night here tonight. Yeah, man, what's on your mind? I see there's a lot of stuff going on in sports. Do you enjoy this? Like I'll almost be glad when baseball's over. There's a lot to stay on top of right now, man. It's fun, but holy smokes.
It's a lot. And when I joke in the morning meeting that, I kind of forget the World Series is going on, it's a lot. It's exhausting. I mean, but it is fun because there's always something going on, always something to watch. And never anything short. So we'll miss it when we go into the dark days of sports when it's kind of quieter. But yeah, when we can just do hockey and football, that's kind of like enough to keep me occupied.
I know, right? Arlen Bruce III's watching and writes in. He says, "Great show, RP. Moose, are you Jerry Maguire or Johnny Cage off Mortal Kombat? Happy Halloween."
Ooh.
Also, Moose, check your email from me. So AB's got something popping in your inbox there, Moose.
All right.
I just noticed one thing, and we got a lot of time left here in this segment, and for that reason, I should open up the my emails here on the 902 text line. I have not been as religious reading the comments here today, not as diligent as from them. We've been reading the YouTube comments here. Rick Sawatsky, he's watching in Martinsville, Sask, says he's going to be watching the World Series tonight. There is something very exciting about that, about baseball, the Fall Classic, yada, yada, yada. But I'll say this. I was going to say this. The bulk of our viewers, I think they were anyways, I'm not sure they still are in Saskatchewan. And I saw this post. Let's just get a little Saskatchewan Rough Rider talk in here for a second. And by the way, the breaking news of the day is Brian Harsin, the coach at Auburn's out. I meant to read those comments. I said Scott Frost at Nebraska was the first coach, and I thought he was the only one fired at NCAA, but Corey Patterson down in Tallahassee, Florida is watching. He says, no, Herman Edwards at ASU. Forks up. I'm like, I thought Herm quit. Isn't that what happened? They quit?
Yeah.
And apparently the Colorado...
They branded it as mutually agreed to part ways, I believe.
Do you believe this? In life, business, relationships, that it's never mutual? Like Rick Bowness left the Dallas Stars, it was a mutual decision. Do you think it's ever mutual?
No. Both sides, and there's a difference. Most sides, I think, can be okay with it and think it's a good move. But I don't think you ever mutually agree because somebody has to start that conversation. Hey, Rod, I'm thinking of stepping down as head coach of the team. Well, that's not mutually agreed upon. You didn't come and say, you write on your piece of paper what you want to do, and I'll write on my piece of paper what I think we should do, and we'll flip them over, and we got the same thing. That's not how it works, right? Somebody's steering that conversation. I think both sides can be okay with it, but I don't know if it's ever mutual.
Dan in Saskatoon says, don't forget about former Riders assistant coach Paul Christ at Wisconsin. So we got Nebraska, Wisconsin, Colorado, ASU, and now Auburn. That's 5 coaches fired. And we are heading into week 10 of the college football season, which, interestingly enough, I got invited, and I'll pass it along to you if you're interested. The weekend of December 6th, College Football Hall of Fame induction weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada. Among the induction class, Andrew Luck's going in. I think they said Marvin Harrison. We've been invited to bring the show to Las Vegas and do the show. It's at the Bellagio. Something to think about, Moose. December 6th. Is that something you might be interested in?
Yeah, dial me up a great Vegas vacation. I'm into that all the time.
Allie in Texarkana writes in and she says, Jim Nill, that's the Dallas Stars general manager, just confirmed Wyatt Johnson is going to stay in Dallas playing with the Stars at 18 years of age. She had asked some time ago how I felt about underage players playing in the NHL, and it's very simple. Listen, I'm a really big fan of throwing somebody into the deep end and seeing whether they swim or sink, because it's happened to me in my life, and I've swam every single time. Not everybody does. Some sink and drown, but I don't have a problem if they feel that Wyatt Johnson, it's their decision. Connor Bedard's going to play in the NHL at 18. He's mature enough to. Not everybody is. Colin in Ottawa, and this is the point I was trying to make earlier. He says, notice how no one is talking about where Cody Fajardo is going to go after this season. It's almost like the rest of the league knows he isn't a starting quarterback in the CFL. No, I don't agree with that. I think Cody is going to be starting somewhere in the CFL. But what about him saying, in the minute we have left, Aaron, and don't rush your thoughts, that the Riders gave up on him this season? Like, he's got to go. He can't come back.
He can't come back. There's no way he can come back. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and I admire the honesty. That is how he feels. He feels like the team gave up on him, and he never got that opportunity to try and get them in the playoffs in the very last moments. And, you know, he'll move on, and he'll have success somewhere else.
Bingo. From Ryan O'Radio, my spirit brother in Atlanta, he says, another great show. Thank you, Ryan. Ken Friedman, he's a football fan. He says, my guess is of all the CFL teams, only in Saskatchewan do all the fans know the names of the GM and the president. It's a fact. It's all Saskatchewan has. And I get it. It reminds me of Austin and the Texas Longhorns. Austin, Texas. It's their thing. You know, but it's not everybody's thing. Hey, wheels up, Maverick. Trick or treat. Be safe tonight. Ha-ha! There you go. See you tomorrow, everybody. Noon Eastern.
Who has more fun than us?
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.